The bridge of the human starship Umbra was quiet. Not the quiet of peace, but the taut silence before a storm. Outside the main view screen, space wasn't black and speckled with stars. It was a swirling chaos of color, dust and shimmering energy fields. The edge of the Serene Nebula. Serene was a terrible name for it. The Galactic Council called it the graveyard of ambition. Countless ships from dozens of species had entered over the centuries. None had ever come back. Now the Umbra, humanity's newest, strangest vessel, hovered at the precipice. Captain Eva Rustova stood near the command chair, her boots planted firmly on the deck plating. She wasn't tall, but she had a presence that filled the space around her. Her dark eyes scanned the roiling vista outside, then flicked to the faces of her bridge crew. Then, the pilot, gripped his controls, his knuckles white. Lean, the science officer, leaned intently over her console, her brow furrowed in concentration. Jonah, the chief engineer, stood beside Lynn, his face calm as ever, but his gaze sharp. They were young, the best Earth could offer, entrusted with a ship built on theories that made older species shudder. Status? Eva's voice was low, steady. All systems green, Captain, Jonah reported. Dark matter drive is stable, ready for initial injection. Gravitational distortions ahead are messy, Lynn added, tapping her screen. Like stirred paint. Our simulations give us a 40% chance of navigating the entry corridor without structural damage. Ben swallowed hard. 40%? Lean, last time you said 60? The nebula is more active than predicted, Lynn replied simply. Data changes. Eva looked back at the nebula. 40%. Bad odds for any normal ship. But the Umbra wasn't normal. Its heart was the dark matter drive. The DMD. It didn't just push the ship through space. It gently nudged space-time itself, allowing the Umbra to slip through gravitational currents that would crush conventional vessels. Or, that was the theory. This was its first real test in an environment this hostile. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council late. They were seen as brash, impulsive newcomers, barely out of their planetary cradle. Their technology was often derivative, their understanding of galactic norms clumsy. But the DMD was different. It was born from human curiosity about the universe's biggest mysteries. Dark matter, dark energy, things the Council's established science deemed too esoteric or dangerous to meddle with. When news of the DMD reached the Council, there was disbelief, then concern, then outright fear. A ship that could manipulate the fabric of reality. Unthinkable, unacceptable, terrifying. They hadn't forbidden its use. Not yet, but their observation probes, like silent judges, followed the Umbra constantly. Eva knew they were watching now, hidden light years away, expecting, perhaps even hoping for failure. 40% is good enough, Eva said, her voice cutting through the tension. We didn't come all this way to stare at the paint, did we? She offered a small smile. Then, prepare for entry. Lynn, keep those sensor feeds sharp. Jonah, be ready to finesse that drive the moment we hit turbulence. Ben took a deep breath, nodding. Aye, Captain. Injecting drive field, Jonah announced, his fingers dancing over his console. A low hum filled the ship. A vibration felt more in the bones than heard with the ears. Outside, the space directly ahead of the Umbra seemed to shimmer, to grow subtly darker, as if a patch of night had deepened. Here we go, Ben muttered. He eased the ship forward. The Umbra slid into the Serene Nebula. Instantly, the ship lurched. Red alert icons flashed on consoles. Gravity shear, Lynn shouted. Starboard side. Compensating. Jonah called out. The hum of the DMD changed pitch, deepening into a resonant thrum. The ship steadied, but the ride was rough, like a boat on choppy water. Colors swirled violently on the view screen. Reds, blues, greens, golds, mixing and separating like oil on water. Strange energy readings spiked and vanished. It's worse than the probes indicated, Lynn said, her voice tight with effort as she analyzed the incoming data. These aren't just gravitational eddies. Something is actively shaping this environment. Old energy signatures. Very old. Stay focused on navigation, Eva ordered calmly, gripping the back of her command chair. Ben, find us the calmest path you can. Ben didn't answer with words. His focus was absolute. his hands moving fluidly over the controls, anticipating the lurches and shears, working with Jonah and the DMD to keep them intact. The Umbra plunged deeper into the chaos. Miles away, in the sterile observation chamber of a Galactic Council monitoring station, two figures watched a holographic display showing the Umbra's perilous journey. Ambassador Xylar, a tall, slender being from a species known for logic and precision, adjusted his optical enhancers. His breathing vents flared slightly, the only sign of his agitation. "Their energy expenditure is illogical," Xylar stated, his voice a series of precise clicks and tones. "The dark matter drive is operating at near peak capacity just to maintain structural integrity. They cannot sustain this." Beside him sat Elder Lam of the Lumina. Lam's people were ancient, contemplative, their bodies frail but their minds vast. Lam resembled a withered tree, with multiple limbs folded peacefully and numerous large dark eyes blinking slowly. "Logic does not govern all forces." Ambassador Lam's voice was soft, like rustling leaves. "Observe their trajectory. It is not optimal according to our models, yet they persist, they adapt. Adaptation through brute force and luck." Xylar countered, "The nebula's core energies will overwhelm them. It is inevitable. The humans overestimate their novel device." The disdain in his tone was clear. The Council feared the DMD, but many, like Xylar, also believed it was inherently unstable, a flawed application of principles best left undisturbed. Loam's many eyes remained fixed on the display, showing the Umbra bucking and weaving through iridescent clouds. "Perhaps," Loam murmured, "or perhaps they understand something we do not. Not about the drive, but about perseverance." Back on the Umbra, they had survived the initial plunge. The ride was still rough, but Ben had found a rhythm, a way to use the gravity waves instead of fighting them. Jonah kept the DMD purring, making microscopic adjustments to the space-time field around the ship. But Lynn's discovery had Eva worried, actively shaping the environment. "What does that mean, Lynn?" "I don't know, Captain," Lynn admitted, pushing her glasses up her nose. "The energy signatures are unlike anything in the Council database, precursor level, maybe, but fragmented, like echoes of something immense that happened here long ago. There are pockets, areas where the distortions are unnaturally ordered. Can we scan inside these pockets?" "Trying now." Lean worked her console. A few moments later, she gasped, "Captain, I'm detecting structured signals. Faint, very faint, but definitely artificial, originating from deep within the nebula." Eva felt a thrill mix with the apprehension. This was why they'd come. Not just to test the drive, but to explore the unknown. "Can you pinpoint the source?" "It's diffuse, but the strongest emissions seem to be coming from Sector 7 Delta." Lynn highlighted a region on the tactical map. "But Captain, that region shows extreme gravitational instability. Off the charts, even the DMD might struggle." Eva considered their options. Turn back, report the findings and let the Council debate for decades, or push forward. Humanity hadn't gotten this far by playing it safe. Then, set a course for Sector 7 Delta. Jonah, give us everything the drive can safely handle. Len, keep trying to decipher those signals. "Aye, Captain," came the chorus of replies. Resolve firmed their voices. The journey deeper was slower, more painstaking. The pockets Lane had mentioned were bizarre. Sometimes they'd fly through a region where space seemed thicker, slowing them down inexplicably. Other times, gravity would twist sideways, forcing Ben into maneuvers that defied conventional physics, relying entirely on the DMD's ability to isolate the ship in its own bubble of reality. Jonah was sweating now, his usual calm replaced by intense focus as he balanced power flows that could tear the ship apart if mismanaged. Suddenly, alarms blared again. "Energy spike," Lynn shouted, directly ahead. "It's not natural." On the view screen, a section of the nebula coalesced, light bent, around a point of utter blackness. Not a black hole, but something constructed. "It's a defense system," Eva breathed. "Ancient. It's emitting reality distortion waves?" Lynn sounded bewildered. "Targeting our ship. Trying to unravel our quantum state." "Jonah, can the DMD shield us?" Eva demanded. "The field can resist gravitational effects, Captain, but reality phasing? Unknown, Jonah replied, his hands flying, trying to reinforce the bubble. The ship shuddered violently. Strange optical effects flickered across the bridge, walls seeming to melt and reform, crew members momentarily becoming translucent. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at Eva. This was beyond anything they'd prepared for. Ben, evasive maneuvers. Get us around it. Trying, Captain. It's like flying through syrup. Ben grunted, wrestling with the controls. The Umbra veered slowly, agonizingly, as the reality warping effect intensified, shield integrity dropping. Jonah warned. 20%. Lynn, any weaknesses? Anything? Eva pressed. Lynn's eyes were wide behind her glasses. It's cyclical. The wave pulses. There's a brief null phase between pulses. Ben, time it. Punch through during the null phase. Eva ordered. Timing it. Now. Ben yelled, shoving the throttle forward. Jonah simultaneously surged power to the engines, overriding safety protocols. The Umbra leaped ahead, just as the reality distortion field flickered out for a fraction of a second. They shot past the defense node, the trailing edge of the next wave washing over their stern, making the ship groan in protest. Silence fell, broken only by panting breaths and the beeping of stabilizing systems. Damage report, Eva said, her voice tight. Minor hull stress. DMD field held, barely. Power levels dipped critically low, but recovering, Jonah reported, wiping sweat from his brow. Len let out a shaky breath. That was unpleasant. Analysis confirms, Captain. Automated defense system. Very old, very powerful. Likely Shaper technology. The Shapers, a mythical precursor race whispered about in Council archives, said to have wielded energies that could build or break stars. Finding their active technology, it changed everything. Are there more? Eva asked. Scans show multiple similar nodes ahead, Lynn confirmed grimly. Protecting something? The signal source, Eva murmured. They were getting closer, but the risks were escalating dramatically. She looked at her crew. Ben was pale but steady. Lynn was already analyzing the captured data from the defense node. Jonah was rerouting power conduits. They were scared. Yes, but they hadn't broken. That human stubbornness, the refusal to simply give up, was shining through. All right, Eva said. We know what we're facing now. Lynn, find us a path through those nodes. Jonah, keep that drive singing. Ben, stay sharp. In the Council observation post, Zalar was processing the sensor logs from the Umbrellas encounter. His logical mind struggled to categorize the event. Reality distortion? Precursor defenses? This is unverified conjecture. The energy signatures were unlike anything currently cataloged. Loam countered softly. The human vessel registered near-critical system failures, yet it passed the node. Their pilot anticipated the cyclical nature of the defense mechanism. Anticipated, ambassador, or perhaps felt. Zalar made a dismissive clicking sound. Statistical anomaly. A lucky guess based on sensor fluctuations. 3 seconds, Lorm said, his multiple eyes blinking slowly. Their science officer identified the cyclical pattern. Their pilot synchronized their maneuver within 3 seconds. Not luck, Ambassador, synergy, and perhaps intuition. A quality your species finds difficult to quantify. I believe. Lorm looked at the holographic Umbra, now navigating a complex path between shimmering points of danger on the display. They are venturing into realms we deemed forbidden for good reason. Yet, they proceed. Their dark matter drive allows them passage, but it is their spirit that guides them. And that, Lorm paused, his voice barely a whisper, is what truly unnerves the Council. The Umbra pushed deeper into the nebula's heart. They encountered more Shaper defense nodes, each deploying different, unsettling tactics. One tried to trap them in a localized time loop, forcing Ben to execute a jarring sideways slip using the DMD that left everyone feeling nauseous for minutes. Another projected intense waves of psychic energy, causing disturbing visions and fear. But the crew, grounded by Eva's steady commands and their training, pushed through the mental static. Each encounter was terrifying, draining, but each success reinforced their resolve. Letting learn to predict the node's behavior. Jonah found ways to tune the DMD to counter exotic effects, and Ben's piloting became almost precognitive, dodging threats that sensors barely registered. They were tracing the artificial signal, now much stronger. It led them toward a vast, dark region at the nebula's core, where the gravitational tides were fiercest. Approaching signal source, Lin announced. Sensors are having trouble penetrating the interference, but it's big, Captain. Planetoid scale. As they emerged from a particularly dense dust cloud, they saw it. Hanging in the distorted space before them was a colossal object, vaguely spherical but faceted, like a giant, dark crystal. It wasn't fully solid. Parts of it seemed to shimmer and phase, existing partially outside normal spacetime. Tendrils of dark energy coiled around it, connected to the defense nodes scattered through the nebula. It was undeniably Shaper, a machine, a station, a temple, impossible to say. It was dormant, but radiated immense, ancient power. Incredible, Eva whispered, awestruck. The signal originates from the core of the structure, Lin reported. It's a repeating data pattern, simple, almost like a beacon. Before they could analyze further, new alarms screamed, multiple warp signatures. Ben shouted, closing fast. Krieg energy profiles. Eva's blood ran cold. The Krieg, a reptilian species known for their aggression and opportunism. They weren't supposed to be able to navigate the nebula. How did they get here? They must have followed our wake, Lin theorized. Used the path we cleared through the initial distortions. Their shields are flaring like mad. They're taking a beating from the ambient gravity. On the view screen, 3 angular, gunmetal gray Krieg cruisers punched through the swirling colors behind them, weapons already glowing. Their formation was sloppy, clearly struggling with the environment. Krieg commander to an unidentified vessel, a harsh, guttural voice crackled over the comms. You trespass in Krieg territory. Surrender your vessel and its technology or face destruction. Eva almost laughed. Krieg territory? They were likely as lost as anyone else would be here. But their appearance couldn't have come at a worse time. This is Captain Eva Rostafa, of the Earthship Umbra, she replied coolly. This region is uncharted space under Galactic Council observation. We are conducting peaceful exploration. Power down your weapons. Lies, the Krieg commander snarled. We tracked your illegal energy signature. That drive tech belongs to the Krieg Empire now. Fire. Bolts of plasma erupted from the Krieg cruisers. Shields up, Eva yelled. Ben, evasive. The Umbra danced. The DMD, allowing it to make sharp, unpredictable turns that the Krieg ships, fighting the nebula's gravity, couldn't easily follow. Plasma bolts sizzled past. Their weapons are disrupting the local spacetime, Lin warned. It's aggravating the Shaper defenses, multiple nodes activating. And the artifact, Jonah added, his eyes wide. The energy surge from the Krieg weapons fire, it's drawing power. The structure is waking up. Eva looked from the attacking Krieg to the colossal phasing artifact, which now pulsed with an internal light. Shaper nodes around them flared brighter. They were caught between pirates, ancient defenses, and a potentially catastrophic alien machine coming online. Fear threatened to overwhelm her, but she pushed it down. Think. Adapt. Survive. That was the human way. Then, get us closer to the artifact, Eva ordered. Captain? Ben questioned, eyes wide. Towards the thing waking up? The Krieg are struggling with the nebula, Eva reasoned quickly. The artifact's immediate vicinity might be even worse for them. And maybe, just maybe, the artifact's defenses will prioritize the idiots shooting at it. It's a hell of a gamble, Jonah muttered, but he was already adjusting the DMD. Ben grit his teeth and steered the Umbra on a tight trajectory, skimming past a newly active Shaper node that fired a beam of pure temporal distortion, narrowly missing them but catching the lead Krieg cruiser. The Krieg ship flickered, parts of it aging and decaying rapidly before snapping back, caught in a localized time flux. One down, Lin reported numbly. The remaining 2 Krieg ships, enraged, pursued relentlessly, firing wildly. Their shots went wide, impacting the nebula or the artifact itself. The artifact pulsed faster, brighter. Captain, Lin shouted, pointing at her console. The artifact isn't deploying external weapons. It's generating a field, a localized reality collapse. It's surrounding itself. A shimmering bubble of pure chaos began expanding from the Shaper structure, erasing the stars behind it, consuming nebula gas. It radiated outwards, towards the Umbra and the Krieg. It'll consume us all, Ben yelled, trying to pull away, but the gravity distortions near the artifact were too strong. We're caught between the field and the Krieg, Eva stated the obvious, her mind racing. Escape seemed impossible. Fight against Shaper Tech and 2 cruisers? Suicidal. Then Jonah spoke, his voice strained but clear. Captain, there might be one chance. Insane. Probably fatal. But maybe. Talk to me, Jonah, Eva urged. The artifact is phasing, right? Existing partly outside normal space. The DMD manipulates space-time, creates a bubble. If we overload the drive, intentionally, maybe we can synchronize our phase state with the artifact's briefly merge with its energy field. Lean stared at him. Merge? Jonah, the energy differential is enormous. It could vaporize us, or trap us between dimensions forever. I know, Jonah snapped back, a rare show of frustration. But look, the collapse field is expanding. The Krieg are firing. The artifact is flaring. If we stay here, we're dead anyway. If we merge, just for a second, maybe we can ride out the collapse field inside the artifact's own phased state, use its energy as a shield, and the phase shift, it might disrupt the Krieg, throw them off completely. Eva looked at the expanding wall of shimmering oblivion. She looked at the Krieg ships, still firing. She looked at Jonah's desperate eyes, Lyndon's fearful calculations, Ben's white-knuckled grip. Trust the math that said they were doomed, or trust the crazy idea born of human desperation and ingenuity. Trust her people? Her decision came in an instant. Do it, Jonah. Len, find the resonance frequency. Ben, get us into the optimal merge position. Now. Overloading the DMD core, Jonah yelled, bypassing safety interlocks. Alarms shrieked across the bridge. The ship vibrated violently. Matching phase signature. Now, Lynn called out the parameters. Taking us in, Ben shouted, piloting them directly towards the phasing, glowing surface of the colossal artifact, right into the path of the oncoming reality collapse. On the Council observation station, the holographic display depicting the Umbra turned into a mess of static and impossible energy readings. What are they doing? Zelaire hissed, his logical mind rebelling against the sensor data. They are flying into the anomaly. Suicidal. Loam leaned forward, his ancient eyes wide. No, not suicide. Something else. The Umbra hit the artifact's energy field at the precise moment Jonah fully overloaded the DMD. For a blinding second, the ship seemed to dissolve, becoming one with the shimmering structure. Reality twisted. The bridge crew experienced a disorienting flood of sensations. Glimpses of alien geometries. Whispers of incomprehensible thoughts. The feeling of immense time passing in an instant. It wasn't hostile, just vast. Alien. The Shaper. Outside, the reality collapse field washed over the point where the Umbra had been. It struck the 2 Krieg cruisers. Their shields, already battered, offered no protection against space-time itself unraveling. One ship was instantly shredded into component atoms. The other was flung violently away, tumbling into a chaotic pocket of the nebula, vanishing from sensors. The collapse field, its initial surge spent, began to recede, stabilizing around the artifact. And then, impossibly, from the still phasing surface of the Shaper structure, the Umbra emerged. It flickered back into normal space, light sputtering, hull scarred and scorched, trailing sparks, but it was whole, intact. Silence reigned on the bridge. Crew members stared at each other, chests heaving. They were alive. Status, Eva choked out, her voice hoarse. We're here, Ben stammered, staring at his console. Ship integrity is critical, but holding life support is stable. DMD is offline, Jonah reported, slumping back, exhausted. Core containment field barely held. It'll need a complete overhaul. Lynn pushed her glasses up, her eyes shining with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. Captain, during the phase merge, I recorded residual data streams from the artifact's core systems. Massive amounts. Eva gripped the command chair, her knuckles white. They had done it. The impossible gamble had paid off. They faced down ancient defenses and modern pirates, using their unique technology not just as a tool but as an extension of their will to survive.
Casualties.
Minor injuries reported Deck 5. No fatalities, came the report from tactical. Relief washed over Eva, so potent it almost buckled her knees. She looked at the view screen. The Shaper artifact pulsed gently now, its defensive field retracted to a close embrace. The nebula swirled around them, still dangerous. But the immediate threats were gone. The Krieg were gone. They had survived. More than survived. They had touched something ancient and profound. In the Council observation post, Zelar stood rigid, his manipulators frozen above his console. The logical framework of his universe had cracked. The sensors clearly showed the Umbrae reappearing from within the artifact's energy field after the Krieg ships were annihilated by the collapse wave. It defied every known law of physics, every strategic doctrine. Lom let out a long, slow series of breaths. His many eyes blinked. They did not just pass through the fire, he murmured, his voice filled with a new, deep-seated awe, and perhaps fear. They danced within it. The journey out of the serene nebula was slow and tense. Without the full power of the DMD, navigation was treacherous, relying on thrusters and Ben's skillful piloting through the least turbulent channels Lin could find. The ship groaned and protested, systems flickering intermittently. The crew worked tirelessly, patching conduits, rerouting power, nursing the battered vessel homeward. Exhaustion was etched on every face, but beneath it lay a quiet pride, a shared understanding of what they had accomplished, what they had survived. Eva spent hours in the science lab with Lin, looking at the preliminary analysis of the data downloaded during the phase merge. It wasn't weapon schematics or power source designs. It was star charts, maps of galaxies beyond their own, intricate diagrams of cosmic structures, complex equations that seemed to describe fundamental forces in ways human science hadn't dreamed of, and fragmented historical logs, glimpses into the Shaper's purpose, not conquerors but perhaps explorers, builders, maybe even gardeners on a cosmic scale. They had left this artifact and perhaps others as dormant sentinels or libraries. "This is monumental," Lin whispered, her fingers tracing a complex holographic diagram. "This could rewrite our understanding of the universe. And it's too dangerous for the Council to know about yet," Eva stated firmly. "Not until we understand it better. They already fear our DMD. Imagine how they'd react to this." Lin nodded slowly. "What will you tell Earth Command?" "The truth," Eva said. "We encountered unexpected phenomena, including precursor defenses and hostile Krieg forces. We successfully navigated the environment using experimental DMD applications and survived. We secured valuable sensor data related to nebula composition." She paused. "The details of the artifact merge and the Shaper data, that stays classified, level Omega. For our eyes only, until Command says otherwise." Their official report, concise and deliberately vague, was transmitted once they cleared the nebula's interference zone. It sent ripples across the Galactic Council. The disappearance of a Krieg patrol fleet, the survival of the human ship from the graveyard of ambition. It was inexplicable, deeply unsettling. Demands for clarification poured in, but Eva deflected them, citing the need for debriefing and repairs. Ambassador Zelar and Elder Lom delivered their report to the full Council Assembly. The chamber, usually filled with dignified debate, was hushed, expectant. Zelar presented the sensor logs, the energy readings, the visual recordings up until the Umbra vanished into the artifact's field. He spoke of reality distortions, precursor technology, the Krieg ambush, and the final baffling event. The human vessel, the Umbra, employed its dark matter drive in a manner inconsistent with all known theoretical models, Zelar stated, his voice tight with frustration. They deliberately flew into a localized space-time collapse event generated by the precursor artifact. Standard physics dictates their annihilation. Instead, he gestured to the final log entry showing the Umbra re-emerging. They survived. The Krieg vessels were destroyed. We lack sufficient data to formulate a logical explanation. The human actions appear irrational, yet resulted in mission survival and enemy neutralization. He struggled for a term. We can only classify it as extreme operational unpredictability coupled with unquantified technological capacity. Then Elder Lom addressed the assembly. His soft voice carried surprising weight. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, his many eyes sweeping across the diverse faces, What we witnessed was not mere unpredictability. It was not simply luck. The humans aboard the Umbra faced layered threats, environmental hazards exceeding known limits, active defenses from the ancient Shapers, and a conventional military assault. Any one of these should have destroyed them, according to our assessments. He paused, letting the silence deepen. Their dark matter technology allowed them passage. Yes, but it was their response under duress that warrants our deepest consideration. They did not panic. They did not surrender. They analyzed, adapted, and improvised. When faced with certain destruction, they chose a path deemed impossible, integrating their vessel momentarily with forces we barely comprehend. They risked utter dissolution based on a desperate theory and what Ambassador Zalaire might call irrational hope. Lum looked directly at the central dais. The humans possess a drive that touches the foundations of reality. We feared its potential as a weapon, but the Serene Nebula incident reveals something more profound, perhaps more terrifying. It is not just the technology, but the spirit wielding it, a spirit that embraces the unknown, that pushes boundaries not just of space, but of possibility. A spirit that can look into the abyss and gamble its existence on a flicker of ingenuity. They are young, yes, impulsive, perhaps, but they are resilient. They are creative. They are stubbornly, inexplicably successful against odds that should crush them. He folded his frail limbs. The dark matter warship did not prevail through overwhelming firepower. It prevailed through a uniquely human combination of desperation, brilliance, and sheer will. We must ask ourselves, what other impossibilities will they conquer, and how will that reshape the galaxy we thought we knew? A heavy silence filled the council chamber. Zalaire's logic was confounded. Lum's wisdom painted a picture of humanity that was both inspiring and deeply alarming. The delegates exchanged uneasy glances. The fear of humanity's technology was now intertwined with a bewildered fear of humanity itself. Weeks later, the Umbra docked at Titan Station, a human outpost nestled in Saturn's rings. The crew, weary but bonded by their ordeal, disembarked to cheers and worried questions. Eva stood in her temporary quarters, looking out at the majestic rings against the blackness of space. A secure message blinked on her private terminal. From Earth Command, it read, "Captain Rostova, welcome back. Preliminary analysis of classified data confirms your assessment. Monumental implications. Proceed with extreme caution. Maintain Omega classification. Your actions have significantly altered Galactic Council perception. They are watching closely. Well done. Command out." Eva closed the message, a faint smile touching her lips. They had faced the darkness, both outside and within, and emerged stronger. They had shown the galaxy that human spirit was as powerful, as unpredictable, as the dark matter that fueled their ship. The council was terrified. Good, maybe now they would understand. Humanity wasn't just another species reaching for the stars. They were a force of nature in their own right. She looked back out at the endless expanse, the nebula's chaos replaced by the familiar order of her home system. But the memory of the Shaper artifact, the feeling of merging with something ancient and vast, lingered. The universe was wider, stranger, and more wondrous than anyone knew. Humanity, with all its flaws and fears, its stubbornness and creativity, was ready to explore it. The fear in the Galactic Council chamber was a palpable thing, thick as nebula dust. They had seen the data, heard the reports. They had witnessed the impossible, and now they knew, deep in their varied cores, that the age of predictable expansion and stable power blocks was over. The humans, with their strange drives and even stranger resilience, had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same.